NFL Sunday is brought to you by Toyota Tacoma. It's the arrival of the fittest. By Motel 6. When you want a clean, comfortable room for the lowest prices of any national chain, stay with Motel 6. By AT&T, your true choice. And by American Express.
All right, and welcome back to Fox NFL Sunday. Clinging to a wild card playoff hope, the Cincinnati Bengals travel to Green Bay to take on the Packers. Cincinnati's Jeff Blake leads the AFC with 24 touchdown passes, but the Packers' Brett Favre is clearly the league's hottest quarterback with 28 touchdowns this season. Fox's Eric Clemens is live at chilly Lambeau Field. And Eric, it seemed just when the weather started getting colder, these Packers started heating it up.
JB, the weather is warmer here, as of course you mentioned earlier. The temperature is expected to be about in the 40s by game time, but as you said earlier, Brett Favre is definitely a very hot quarterback as the numbers bear out. You mentioned his 28 touchdown passes to lead the NFL. He has 52 touchdown passes in his last 21 regular season starts, and since hurting his left ankle back on November 5th, he's thrown 11 touchdowns in the 3 games since. I'd say that's a pretty strong case for MVP consideration.
If you look at what the MVP means, most valuable player to your team and what he's done, then I think it should be considered. I've had a lot of help on my team and have played well, you know, and that's all any guy in this league wants to be mentioned, is that if he has a great year.
But more important is this team's development of a championship mentality, perhaps starting with Reggie White's tongue lashing almost 2 months ago in Dallas. Call it a winner's swagger, if you will, all at the urging of Coach Mike Holmgren.
When you walk out on the field, make the other team look at you and say, it's going to be tough to beat them. You know, they expect to win every given Sunday, whether it's home or away. So that's kind of the style that he is trying to portray to us, and I think we're picking up on it.
Everybody wants to make the play to set the tone for the rest of the game, you know, and that's the way we approach it in the huddle. We're like, okay, who's going to set the tone for the day? You know, so we have something to go by, and it's a measuring stick for how we're going to, you know, play the rest of the football game.
Bad omen for the Bengals. Favre says the left ankle's feeling better all the time, but if he gets knocked out today, guess who the number 2 quarterback is? Jim McMahon, just picked up this week. That's the story from here at the legendary Lambeau Field. Now let's go back to Hollywood and James Brown. JB?
All right, Eric, and I'm glad for your sake that it is warmer there today. No doubt about it. All right, back inside the studio. Terry, what in the world are you doing?
Well, I got a call from some of the refs around the league that are doing games today, and they just wanted me to sign a few balls for some of their grandkids. And so I thought while you were doing that piece that I would go ahead and try to get a few of these balls signed, these Christmas gifts.
Clearly what Bradshaw is doing, referencing last week when Jerry Bergman, the official at the Tampa Bay Green Bay game, went into the locker room to get Brett Favre's autograph for his grandkids. Now, wait a minute. Nobody's questioning Bergman's integrity because he's first class, but that does give the appearance of favoritism.
You know what? I don't believe in favoritism by refs and players. I think it's a unique situation when you're both playing the football game, having the time of your life. I'm going to give you an example. You tell me if this is favoritism. I'm standing on the 21-yard line. I'm standing there getting ready to throw up a third down. I'm holding and I'm holding and I'm holding and I'm holding. And all of a sudden I hear, duck! Boom! Down I go. 2 defensive ends. Pop! They collapse. Hit one another dead. Boom, out like a light. Choo, out I shimmy to the right, throw it down to the 1-yard line. Now, I get back into the huddle. It's the referee behind me. He said, comes in. He said, Terry, I can't be doing that again. Now, you have got to get rid of that football a little bit quicker than that. That's one example of the relationship you have. And it goes on, and it's fun, and I had it, and that's just one time. Not to mention many. That's not favoritism, because you still get the flags, and these guys are human beings. They have families.
Yeah, and really, you know, Jerry Bergman got fined on this, and I don't agree with that because it's been common throughout the league that they've done this. Now, I don't agree with it. It shouldn't be done, and I think what the league office needs to do, just send out a memo saying, don't do it again, we'll fine you if it happens again, and put this thing back in the back burner. It's history.
If they're going to fine officials for getting autographs from superstar players, they better go back and find every crew that worked Joe Montana's last season. Find every single one of those guys. Jerry Seaman needs to worry a little bit more about blown calls right now rather than what Jerry Bergman's getting for his poor grandson. What's the big deal here?
Memo? Yeah, we need another memo around here.
There's no memos here.
Yeah, really. Harry, favoritism, Bradshaw. No way. Now it's time to check out what else is going on in the National Football League.
Check it out! It's a Western shootout for the Chiefs and Raiders.
AFC hopes it's a hasty return to victory. That would wrap up the division title. But the Raiders aren't about to fade into the sunset. Timmy's riding high and Harvey's running wild. It's a blue-collar battle between the Oilers and Steelers. Houston's hard-working D has the most takeaways in the AFC. But the Steelers are ready to punch out another division title, and Mr. Thigpen's assembled the best numbers in the AFC. The coach galloped into Carolina. Marshall is the coach's all-purpose player. He's their top runner and receiver. The Panthers don't need any handouts. They've got the league's most takeaways. Jacksonville heads up to Denver. The Jags are the kings of hard luck. 5 of their 9 losses are by 7 points or less. The 6-6 Broncos better change their luck, or Mr. Elway will miss the postseason ball again. The Browns hit the road toward San Diego. Everyone says they're headed to Baltimore, but this Browns team is headed south. The Bolts are still alive and kicking. 4 field goals to be exact. But it's enough to give the AFC champs some hope. The Bills stampede to the Golden Gate. Buffalo's been playing a sax symphony on opposing QBs. Their favorite is pop music. But the Niners' D is rocking and rolling to a new beat. It's the league's best and tops in INTs. Lions will tangle with Bears. Oh my! Mr. Kramer's not in Kansas or Detroit anymore. He's found a sweet home in Chicago, and his 26 tosses are second in the NFL. While the Lions have a wizard named Scott, with Herman and Brett, they're looking for a playoff spot over the rainbow. All right, let's focus on the Kansas City-Oakland matchup. The Chiefs have beaten Oakland 5 straight, including 11 of the last 12. It seems like Oakland, with a lot of talent, tightens up during the big games, Howie.
Yeah, and their 4 losses this year, 40 penalties and 14 turnovers. Marty Schottenheimer's philosophy when playing the Raiders has always been, keep the game tight, they will screw it up. This week, Jeff Hostetler is out again. They fear that it's worse than, and originally they had thought a torn rotator cuff possibly might need surgery. Vince Evans will be in this week. Look for Vince to go deep. Get back to that Raider philosophy of throwing the ball deep today.
All right, not a good turnover ratio in playing Kansas City. No. Leads the league plus 10, plus 87 since 1990 for Kansas City. All right, folks, a lot more shows still to come. When we return, one of the most successful combos since Rocky and Bullwinkle. He's another Moose, but this guy's name is Johnston, and he works alongside a guy named Emmett. And they were picked to be
we haven't played well on either side of the ball nor special teams the last few weeks. So, therefore, we stink as a team. We stink together.
Fullback Keith Byers of the Dolphins, although he's seen limited action this season, he's maintained his reception streak at 124 straight. Back with more in Hollywood after this.